Welcome pilots, my name is Hybrid V and we're back once again to watch your takeoff and landings here at New Babbage Interstellar Spaceport. If this is the first time you've watched this show in particular, it's where I fly around various spaceports in Star Citizen and watch people come and go as they take off and land and give them a rating out of 10 based on how cinematic their takeoff or landing is. And that criteria is essentially as long as their takeoff or landing looks like something out of a movie or any other type of sci-fi medium, including other video games or whatever, that is what we're looking for. So controlled takeoffs, very fluid motions, all one motion, no stuttering, no keyboard catting, no pulling their landing gear too early or lack of VTOL usage. Currently in Star Citizen, none of it really matters whether you use VTOL or have your gear out early. It will in the future. For example, overspeeding your gear, having your gear down too early is an issue you'll have to worry about. And VTOL usage is going to be important as well too, because thrusters will actually have overheat mechanics later down the line as well too. If you decide to hover for too long or as you're slowing down and the thrusters are firing, the thrusters will overheat. Probably not as much on Microtech because it's going to be a lot colder for sure, but definitely on other locations it will be. So it doesn't matter now currently, but for what we are looking for here on the show, it matters highly. All right, let's go ahead and cut the cameras here and let's find our first customer. Oh, hello, Triton Wolf. Got a player taking off here. We have a 600 taking off. I didn't see the full sequence, so no rating. Let's go ahead and move on. All right, Hangar 2, small hangar opening up here, and Microtech, of course, is doing what it does best, which is to create annoying blizzards that make it hard to see, so I'm going to go ahead and fly inwards. I do see a canopy sticking through some of the visual effects here, and that tells me that is probably a spirit based on the design of that canopy. It does look like a spirit for sure. What type of spirit, I can't quite tell here. You see the landing gears in front of that hangar there. I think those are also spirit landing gears. Very awkward. Yeah, so landing gears currently right now are not really, they just get left behind with wrecks. Again, in the future with like Maelstrom and the physicalized damage modeling, that stuff will actually be, you can actually destroy individual parts of that. But currently right now, they just are entities that are stuck to the ship. All right, looks like the ship's firing up and taking off here and disappears? Oh no! It just disintegrates as it comes out of the hangar because the landing gears are just flying off into the distance. What is happening? What just happened? I thought that, okay, I'm assuming the server just lagged out because that player disappeared, so maybe they teleported or something like that, but no, instead they just disintegrated in front of us here. That probably explains why there's another landing gear in front of that hangar there. There appears to be some kind of issue, maybe a collision mesh or something there, so that player collided with it and just disintegrated. There was no explosion. I don't know why. Star Citizen works in mysterious ways, so sometimes things just don't load properly, and in that case we just had that guy just detonated. I don't know what happened to them. Small hangar over here, number 4 opening up, and we have something, looks like something taking off. Yes, we do. We have a Pisces. Pisces are taking off with the gear already up, looking solid. See, that's a solid takeoff. Now, I couldn't see quite the entire sequence because the blizzard, of course, is making visibility very tough. And I imagine YouTube is not doing any favors to your bit rate right now, folks at home. So I can't give a full rating, although that is an excellent example of a takeoff right there with the gear already up and away they go with minimal hesitation. I would like to see when they're in the actual hangar and see them lift up, gear up, and then push out all one fluid motion, but it's hard to see with this weather. I have to get very close to see it. But yeah, that spirit, that spirit tried taking off and then just completely just exploded into Lego pieces. And yeah, my suspect here, I completely suspect that this has something to do with the server issues. You can see the pieces of the spirit are now breakdancing on the ground over here. This is the PTU I'm recording on, folks, here, right? So there's going to be all kinds of weird bugs and glitches. Not that we don't see them in live as well, too, but you're definitely going to see a lot of really nasty ones in the public test universe. And you can see the body of the pilot down there as well. Yeah, very strange. Yeah, you can see the landing gears. This is, I don't think, from that pilot. I think this is from someone else who also potentially just detonated here. So yeah, this is a very scary hangar to be in. Don't want to be around here for too long. Yeah, very awkward, very weird. All right, well, with that tragedy now behind us, let's go ahead and move on to the next customer. So that server ended up actually crashing. It recovered, but it was also very slow afterwards. So I'm actually going to take things up into space. So I'm at Tressler now, which is in orbit of Microtech just above New Babbage. And I'm going to go ahead and set up shop here and we'll go ahead and see what kind of customers we get. So I'm going to go ahead and pull in and land here. You know, folks, I always love to show off my landing, so I might as well show this off right here. It's just normal coupled landing. Let's go ahead, get the gear out. There we go. Time it right and bring it down gentle. There we go. And we're on the deck. All right, let's go ahead and get a brand new ship, and let's see what we catch, shall we? Ooh, little T-pose on my way out. You know what? Why don't we take the Sabre Raven out, right? Right before I hit record on here, CAG teased on social media a new ship called the Aegis Firebird. At least that's what people are suspecting it, as it seems to be how CAG is teasing it. And that ship kind of looks like a Sabre Raven almost. Not quite, but it definitely has the same lines. And I'm hoping this also means that we're going to get a gold standard pass on the Sabre Raven. The Sabre, not too long ago, got its own gold standard pass, but the Raven didn't, which was kind of weird. But hopefully now this means CIG will get around to doing it, getting it all nice and cleaned up and gussied up for a gold standard pass. It is a very cool, very rare ship that you can't quite get anywhere, really. And it's one of my favorite ships, one of my prized possessions in my stable of ships. So I really do hope to see a gold standard pass very soon. All right, let's see what we find. What have we got here? A giant Dorito. This means it is a Crusader ship, and indeed it is. It is a Ion, Ares Ion, coming in for landing and missing its starboard wing. Interesting. Wonder what happened there. Is this person doing bounties or something? They had an accident out there, a big whoopsie? Don't know, but gear coming out early before they hit the hangar there. Now, I'm going to permit this because they are missing a wing, and you can see them rocking to the right side. That is the reason why. Usually when the Ares loses a wing, it becomes very unstable in its flight profile. There we go. And a touchdown. Very rocky touchdown. It's very hard to give a more harsher critique than that, because at the end of the day, when you lose a wing, especially that much surface area, on the Ares, it tends to also lose some thrusters, so when you enter gravity, it becomes incredibly unstable. So it's hard for me to really give a harsh critique on that. In fact, I probably would also pull my gear out early too before I hit the air shield, because the moment you touch that gravity, the ship is going to become incredibly unstable. So I'm not going to give a rating on that. I will say, though, bravo for keeping it relatively stable before you touch the ground there, because the Ares does become a little bit weird, a little bit wonky the moment it loses a big wing like that. So bravo for not crashing. We'll go ahead and just leave that as is for now. And what do we got here? We have an 890 taking off from the actual control arms out here, the docking arms. Don't see too many ships using the docking mechanics. They're still very hit or miss right now. I'm a Hull C owner, and I do have a Hammerhead loaner, and I've tried so many times to use the docking collars, and they work probably 60% of the time. Especially with the Hammerhead, it tends to be very, very broken, and you end up getting the ship just stuck into the actual docking collar, or it just doesn't function right, or the docking collar doesn't extend properly. I think most of the issues has to do with server-related issues in terms of how it's supposed to extend and connect with the ship. Either way, it's just very frustrating. It doesn't work properly, and I think CIG really still needs to take a look at that and get that hammered down, because there's a lot of really cool ships that use that mechanic. Like I said, the Hammerhead, the 890 Jump, and the Hull C. Especially the Hull C, if you want to take part in the mechanics of doing actual trading with the Hull C with the large cargo trading loop, it can be really frustrating when you can't get the ship to spawn properly because the docking arm is just broken because of, like I said, I assume server-related issues. Now that's on the PTU. I have no idea by the time this goes live if they're going to have that settled, but because it's been an issue patch over patch, especially since the Hull C came out, I don't really have faith that it's going to be fixed by then. And the reason why is it's been an issue for a long time with the Hull C, in particular when that came in, and they have not fixed it really since. I'm sure they've done, you know, small fixes here and there to address it, but I think the problem is it's a very specific server condition that has to be met before you start to see really weird issues like that, even though it's very common, and it's probably hard for them to replicate. At least that's my guess, because it's a really huge issue that affects big gameplay loops, and they have done small fixes here and there for it in the past, but it just keeps coming back. So yeah, I'm not too faithful that that's going to get addressed. But anyway, this was a very solid takeoff from this 890 Jump. It's hard to give a good rating for someone who's just leaving the docking collar because it's incredibly easy. There's not really any way you can mess it up unless the server screws you over and, you know, you just get stuck inside the docking collar as you're leaving. So giving a rating to an 890 as it takes off, nah, not so much. I can definitely give a rating to a ship that is coming to dock in, because there's actually some skill involved there, whereas taking off from the docking collar, not so much, so I don't really care to give a rating in that regard. All right, looks like the 890 probably has their course plotted. I do want to watch this big behemoth take off into quantum because it looks really cool. I cannot wait to see the brand new quantum effects. There it goes, off into the distance as they just zip on down. Can't wait to see new quantum effects coming out very soon, hopefully this year. Anyway, let's move on. All right, we have a medium-sized hangar here, and we have a Constellation getting ready for takeoff here. Constellation Phoenix, to be more specific, I believe, judging by the bulbous center fuselage there, so that does indicate to me at least that that is a Phoenix. Gear is still down. Oh, gear has come up now. You can see the rear engines pulling backwards as well as the gear coming up. Now they are pushing on out, looking good, solid and clean, and that is your typical 10 out of 10 takeoff. However, it is not a 10 out of 10 takeoff, because if you paid attention closely, they were not using VTOL as they took off. The Constellation has fans on its wings there, its little winglets where its thrusters are at, and you can actually open them up and it gives you a little bit of extra lift there. Again, in Star Citizen right now, it doesn't matter currently if you use VTOLs because your ships will still take off just fine, but we're rating on a cinematic takeoff and landing kind of system here. We want something to look like it's very sci-fi in how it takes off. And in this case, because the ship has these fans that are designed for VTOL activation and VTOL usage for flying in any type of gravity with an atmosphere, in this case the hangars, you're going to want to use them because that makes sense where you're supposed to use them. So instead of a 10 out of 10 takeoff, I will give them a 9 out of 10 because they missed using their VTOLs there. Overall, very, very straightforward, very clean. They had a lot of control. They lifted their gear up while they were in the hangar and then they pushed out all in a nice clean motion. The only issue is they didn't use VTOLs. So you got to make sure to remember to use that. If you want to get a 10 out of 10 rating, always think of your landings and takeoffs in a more cinematic perspective. What would this look like if this was Star Wars, or if this was Helldivers, or any other type of sci-fi medium where you see ships taking off and landing, right? You want to think of it that way. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can watch this feller take off here into quantum. Oh, there we go. Now they are moving. Or are they going to head off into quantum? Let's see if we can watch them zip off into the black. Do it. Do it. Do it for the gram. You might be still spooling here. And engage. Come on, you should have spooled by now. Even a stock Phoenix should have been spooled by now. Let's see. Yep, there they go. Off into the black. Like I said, can't wait for the new quantum visual effects. I think those are going to be really cool later down the line. And sound effects, because I want some dang sound effects. Let's move on. All right, we have another Constellation coming in from landing, and it has that creamsicle livery. I forgot the name of that livery, but it has that kind of almost Freelancer Max style orange and white pattern to it as they come in and landing. Gear is already down quite early. Remember, if you want to nail that cinematic landing, you want to have the gear out right before you land, not too early. I know some people will argue, well, that's not how they do it in real life with planes. Yes, but we're not flying planes, we're flying starships here. And there they go, nice, smooth touchdown. Now, there was some hesitation, probably because they were trying to maybe go in third person and see if they were lined up there. Remember that third person does cost you a little bit of time there. You want to make sure it's all done in one smooth motion, so it does take a little bit of practice getting used to. Also, they were not using VTOL fans as well. So that landing is going to be a general 6 out of 10 landing, above average, but not quite the excellent style cinematic landing that we're looking for. All right, let's go ahead and move on. All right, what have we got here? What is this? We have what appears to be a Lightning coming in for landing. Let's go ahead and mosey on in and get a good look at this puppy. The Lightning kind of got a bit of a raw deal in this patch currently because it has same identical tunings to a Warden, which makes it feel very, very sluggish to fly, especially in atmosphere. So I do hope CIG is looking at that. Indeed, I undoubtedly believe that they are. I don't think all the ships are finalized in their tuning whatsoever. This stuff is all going to change down the line, but definitely it is a bit of a bummer flying the Lightning right now of how fat it feels. Gear activation is a little bit too early for my liking. A bit of hesitation there as they're trying to line things up, and it looks like they are now ready to bring it down. It looks like it could be potentially a decoupled style landing there. Looks like they had kind of that glide in as they were coming in on approach. Remember, folks, with decouple now, you don't have to have your gear out now to have the vector hold if you want to land. You can actually have your gear up the entire time and then gear down anytime you'd like, because vector hold is now on at all times, especially if you do have gravity compensation on, which is really important for those really nice smooth landings. Overall, very nice early gear activation, however, and just a bit of just a little bit of minor hesitation. So that is a solid. I'll give them an 8 out of 10 because I do like that. I just would like that to be a little bit more smooth out. All right, let's move on. All right, brand new day here, and we are on the live server. So 323 has gone live, and I am flying the brand new Mirai Pulse, the new bike from Mirai, which is the performance brand of MISC. And, you know, might as well take it out and have some fun with it. Bikes are always a lot of fun to use around the landing sites if you can pull them out. Because the Mirai is so tiny, I was able to fit it in the back of my Stalker there. And yes, in the back of a Stalker, the Stalker has cells designed for holding prisoners, and yet I was still able to squeeze it in there perfectly fine. That's how tiny this thing is. Let's look at this soft death Carrack over here, jeez. So I'm now here at Seraphim Station because we have a brand new patch, so I set my home here, and I just decided to fly up here and pull out my Pulse, and might as well go and have some fun with this thing out here at Seraphim Station. Now, I suspect we are going to see a lot of industrial ships. Maybe we'll see a decent amount of at least vultures for sure. We won't see any reclaimers because reclaimers can't do anything here. They would probably be landing more at actual Orison than they would be out here, but I suspect we're going to see a lot of vultures kind of pop into this area, as a lot of people are going to be on that UEC grind set right now, trying to get their money back because of this patch, which wiped everybody's cash and rentals. Everything else was kept except for those. Yeah, listen to the sound of this bike. I love this thing. It's so awesome. It's supposed to be, you know, MISC and the Mirai Performance brand, so it is a mixture of human and Xi'an tech. Or is it Jean? I know they pronounce it like Jean in Squadron 42, but I like calling them Xi'an. It just seems more interesting. Jean just sounds like I'm speaking to a Frenchman. Yes, there's Jean over there. You know, he creates the MISC technology, you know. It doesn't sound as right as Xi'an. Either way, anyway, I'm rambling. Let's go ahead and put this thing to the test, and let's find some customers and see if we can sneak up on them. This thing has got such a tiny signature because it's a bike, and it also doesn't have any shields whatsoever. So I should be able to get fairly close and not get spotted by anybody, which is always fun. Also, look at the beautiful visual effects. Gotta love CIG's animators and visual effects teams, and of course their audio team that put all this stuff together. It's always such a blast to see this stuff all come together. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Let's go. Goodness, I was just getting a drink of water, and all of a sudden all the turrets just unloaded. My cameras were off. I just turned them on now, and I see a vulture had just come in, and I believe it was red, so I think this player has a crime stat. I'm not entirely certain how they got a crime stat. And it looks like they're trying to shoot at something down there. Maybe they're shooting at a turret or something, but now the ship looks to be soft death. If they haven't escaped now, they better. Nope, there they go. Ship is now full death. It has just been completely deleted. Yeah, this player came in red. I don't know what they did. It could be maybe they did maybe an illegal salvage mission or something like that and then shot at security as they came in. I'm not entirely certain. Either way, this player is now dead. You know, let's go ahead and let's go check him out. Let's go take a look. Get a closer look at this wreck here. Maybe we'll see the player. Maybe they survived. It's possible this player maybe escaped into EVA before the ship got destroyed. I see something in the wreck there. Can't quite make it out. Let's get a little bit closer here. I'm gonna zoom in the... Yeah, there's a player there in a... They're in their prison outfit laying on a bed. So what happened is that player probably died, and then they were transported to Klesher, because if you get killed by security forces, including turrets, and you have a crime stat, you will get sent to Klesher Rehabilitation Facility. And there's a little weird bug where you can see them in a prison outfit and on a bed, because that's how they spawn at Klesher. So they just appear like that in space and then eventually teleport to the correct direction, that correct location they're supposed to be at. It's a little bit weird. I'm assuming probably some weird server shenanigans goes on there. But yeah, so this Vulture is dead. No cargo appears, but yeah, it is what it is. All right, let's go ahead and let's find the next customer. Okay, so we have what appears to be some type of Cutlass coming in, and based on the livery and that logo on the bottom, this is a Cutlass Red coming in for landing here. Cutlass Red is always a bit of a popular ship, especially when you're doing bunker runs. Early gear activation, don't love to see it. I would like to see the gear before you actually hit the air shield and in the gravity well. Also, I can see a Vulture over there on the right. You see this Vulture is actually trying to, he's trying to harvest some of the ship parts that he sees down there. So anyway, this Cutlass Red coming in for landing here. Again, Cutlass Red is very popular because people like to do bunker runs as a way of grinding cash, and it's nice to bring something like a red because you can heal yourself if you get shot. The bots are much more improved even with the laggy servers. They tend to actually, you know, hit you and fire back. Oh goodness, the red accidentally gives some upward strafe there and ends up bonking into the side of the hangar there. Unfortunate. Gotta learn to control that. Gotta be careful about your control schemes there, folks. I do know that this is a brand new patch, so people are probably rebinding their keys and trying to get used to the new flight model. It is what it is, but we're still going to be rating on a system here about how cinematic people are. And let's see, they're evened out here and they're a little bit offset with the hangar floor, but they're coming into land and good touchdown overall. So we have early gear activation, no VTOL usage, a lot of hesitation, and even worse, they had an impact with the side of the hangar. That is going to be a 4 out of 10 because we have a lot of elements missing there, and of course big points taken off for unfortunately hitting the side of the hangar. And here's that Vulture there, the Vulture looking to get the Vulture hits the backside of their ship onto the actual station. It looks like they were pulling their, I wonder what they're pulling their gear up for it. Anyway, gear is up now as they decide to just jet off into the black of space there. Vulture looking for some opportune moments to snack on some ships in an armistice zone. I believe that was a thing we couldn't do at one point. You couldn't actually use any of the salvage mechanics in an armistice zone, but now that is actually a thing you can do. I think, if I recall, you couldn't. I don't use the Vulture very often. I'm more of a reclaimer person, but yeah, I think you couldn't at some point, and I think maybe CIG changed that. Let me know if you're a Vulture owner down there. Let me know if that's a thing that actually had changed at some point, if CIG actually changed your ability to use salvage equipment within an armistice zone. Because if that is, that's huge. That should be something everybody should do. They should all try to patrol around the stations and see if there's cool, you know, debris to clean up, because it also helps the server out too if you come and clean up all that debris. Somebody's zooming off in the distance there. What is that? I don't know. Lost the LOD. Anyway, let's move on. What have we got here? We have a Constellation coming in for landing. You can see that engine just like kind of snapped backwards, and that's kind of a weird issue with the Constellation right now, where it just has desynced engines. Ooh, this guy's just deciding to just destroy the hangar crew for some reason, the ATC inside the hangar crew. Early gear activation, no actual VTOL activation as well too. I don't see those fans opening up. I don't know why they just decided to, you know, try to murder the actual hangar crew in there. Nice soft touchdown though. I do like that touchdown. A little tiny bit bouncy, but I do like the way that they, you know, they put that down nice and soft. So we have early gear activation and no VTOL usage, but not as much hesitation as I was expecting. So that's definitely a lot better, and I think it was a nice smooth touchdown. Overall, I'm gonna give that about a 7. I'll give him about a 7 because I think that looked really, really nice. Could be a 6. But honestly, a 7 is probably going to be fitting there a lot better. I would like to see the gear come down at a more opportune, more cinematic moment right before they touch down. And I would like to see some VTOL usage as well there too, because if they had done all that and had that same smooth landing they had there, touching down on the pad, that would have been a solid 10. All right, let's move on. All right, another Vulture. Like I said, and I was absolutely right, we're going to see a lot of industrial ships flying around Seraphim Station because people are on that grind again. And indeed, we have a Vulture coming in for landing here. Probably a fresh spawn player. Maybe they're looking to set their spawn here at Seraphim before they conduct their business out in the wild. Let's see how they do getting their landing spot sorted here. Now, it looks like they're going to come in for a horizontal landing. Always a valid strategy. I do recommend, if you're still more of a rookie pilot and you're trying to get your space legs and you're trying to land, especially in a vertical hangar, you should definitely come nose in first. It just helps you with your situational awareness as you come in. Early gear activation, don't like to see that. We want to see a little bit more cinematic landing. Now, Some people I know are going to probably pull their gear out a lot early just because it slows their ship down as well now too. That is a safety feature that is now in the game. If you pull your gear out, you're limited to, I think it's about 30 meters per second. You should be using your speed limiter, honestly, for that. Ooh, careful, don't go too fast. And a bonk in the hangar there. Looks like they noticed that, though. They're probably in third person, which is why there's a lot of hesitation. Oh, no, careful, go for it. Oh, ooh, a bonk into the backside of it. Oh, something's exploding. I don't think that's them. Something else is exploding around me. I have no idea what that is. And let's see if they're going to touch down centered. Not quite centered, and a little bit quick for my taste. Also, no VTOL activation. You notice there's no the panels on the side. Oh, goodness. Okay, now we're getting scanned. Apparently, I think that's what I was hearing exploding. There was probably security. Can you go away over here? Maybe over... Nope. Nope. Okay. You know what? I'm going to deal with this, officer. So anyway, that Vulture, early gear activation, no VTOL usage, and an unfortunate bonk into the hangar, which means that we are going... Of course, they were also offset as they came in. When they landed into the center of their pad there. So that's going to be about a 4 out of 10. If they had not had a bonk, that'd probably be just a general 5 right there. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and, if you haven't already seen this trick, so if you have security coming in to scan you, they like to stay off the front of your ship, so they're always in front of you, so that way they look really cool and you can see them as they're scanning. But because they like to stay in front of you, you can do this. You can move your view over and kill them. Thank you for your generous donation to the Smooth Landing Fund of Hybrid V. All right, let's go ahead and find the next customer. Yeah, they like to stay off in front of your canopy because it looks really cool. And as you move around, they'll follow the front of your canopy like that. And you could just basically slingshot them into the station. It's really funny. Let's move on. Small hangar is opening up here, and we have a Hornet. Now, I suspect this is going to be an F7A, because as this patch gone out now, the F7A is now available for players that have done the Overdrive Initiative missions, and they can get now, if they have an F7C Mark II, they can upgrade to the F7A Mark II. And indeed, this is an F7A Mark II because it has the black multicam pattern on it, as well as you can notice that top central turret. I suspect this player just got their brand new Hornet and are enjoying it. This is why they're flying around the rings here at Seraphim Station, enjoying their new prized possession they now have in their fleet. Look at that beautiful rocket plume on the back of that main engine. I do love the way the Anvil ships are designed with the very, very bright engines in the back. Anvil is very well known for having like a single engine on a lot of their platforms. So having that really bright plume on the back looks really, really cool and unique on their design. And off they go. Do enjoy your brand new toy, sir. It is definitely an absolute fun ship to fly. And I will be reviewing that, of course. I've already reviewed the F7C Mark II, but I will be reviewing the F7A Mark II in comparison to the F7C. But that will be sometime later. I will be away for some time. I'm going to be going on vacation, and I will be back soon. Of course, all the videos are still going to be there for the weekend, but I will be away for a little bit, so I won't have a review this coming week. But anyway, that's neither here or there. Let's go ahead and get our next customer lined up, shall we? Hello, Mr. Turret. And what have we got here? We have a 325A, which is now a full-on interceptor in master mode, so it has very, very fast, very, very fast straight line speed, but not quite a dogfighter, not really a close-in rate fighting dogfighter. Early gear activation coming in here before they enter the air shield. Let's see if they line things up. They do have it nice and horizontal. They're going to get it nice and centered. Not quite centered, but definitely probably a little too fast as well too on the descent there. Could be a lot better, but hey, expediency sometimes is the key, and as long as you don't explode, hey, that works well enough, right? So we have early gear activation here and slightly offset while they landed down there on the pad. I think overall that will probably be a solid 8 because I think everything is there. I would like to see the gear come out well before they touch down, and of course maybe try to center that a little bit and control that descent profile just a little bit more. But overall, very solid. All right, let's go ahead and move on. And what have we got here? We have a Gladius coming in for landing. Gear is already down early. I think what I'm suspecting here is a lot of people are using the gear being brought down early, probably either because they're not used to master modes and what it does now with slowing speeds down, and some people may be using it as a crutch to slow themselves down. Oh, careful, watch that. The Gladius is a little bit squirrely. This is why speed limiter usage is much more important than trying to use the gear to slow yourself down, right? If you pull the gear down, it slows you to 30 meters per second, but it can still be very twitchy. Using the speed limiter is going to give you a lot more control there. So we had early gear activation. You saw how twitchy that was. So the descent wasn't as controlled as I would like. And they were a little bit askewed as they were landing there centered on the pad. That can always be tricky, but still, I'll take a little bit off of there. So that's going to be a solid 7 out of 10. I think they could do a lot better. All right, I think this is a good place to end things, folks. I'm here on Daymar with my Mirai Pulse. I think I'm going to go take it out for a spin here on low grav. But yeah, folks, if you did indeed enjoy this video, please leave a like, as it really does help out the channel. And of course, if you want to see more videos like this and much more down the line, be sure to subscribe as well. And of course, if you want to support the show and the work that I do here, do consider becoming a channel member. The join button is down below. Just like these fine folks you see on the screen here, their contributions are immensely helpful to helping me put together this show. And I do appreciate any and all of you that do decide to become members. Your contributions are greatly appreciated. But anyway, folks, that's it for me today. I'll see you all in the next one. Fly safe, because you'll never know who might be watching. And I'll see you all in the black.
Cover shot, you got the outdoor gun.